in the Slack network out west, and the psychological cost or the impact probably is as important as the actual cost. What the psychic is going to do to the market. For example, National Beef shareholders, will they be able to sell all to National Beef, or can they go somewhere else?
Is that directed at any one person?
No, if anyone wants
to take a shot at it.
Bill?
Bill Donald, NCBA. Well, Evan, you hit the nail on the head that the market is an attitude. And as we look at the things that impact that attitude, I think when we have buyers out there that are going to be unwilling to pay a premium or a discount based on quantity, then we have an attitude problem, and that's going to result in lower prices. At least in the short term, until they get their sea legs under them and figure out what they're going to be sued for and what they're not going to be sued for. I think that attitude problem probably is going to be the most detrimental thing in the short term, because we just don't know. Again, it's the vagueness of the rules that are going to have that biggest impact on attitude.
John Jacobson, the Ag Network. Two-part question. Number one, did these numbers surprise anybody here on this panel? And this is open to anybody. Number two, the second part of this question, if Informa can come up with these numbers, why in the world didn't USDA look down the road and see some of these numbers already? Why didn't they want to participate and find some numbers like this, in your opinion?
Okay. First question. Did the numbers surprise anybody, and anybody can respond?
Bill Donald, NCDA. I don't know that they surprised me. I think the overall trend of them is what surprised me. That and like I said, I'm not so sure every number is going to be exact, because we're not so sure about the assumptions that they're exactly going to be accurate. But I think the aha for me was the total negative trend on virtually everything, whether it be income through producers, increase in price for consumers, or loss of jobs, or loss of tax revenue. I think when I looked at that all put together completely, that was the aha for me.
Anyone else? Go ahead.
I don't think anything surprised the turkey industry in general, but I think what does surprise me the most is the fact that back in May, some of the groups were out in D.C. talking with Bill Sack directly about rural development. We spent an hour talking about that. And in none of that discussion did I hear anything about animal agriculture. So I think what surprised me the most is the fact that if you're trying to develop rural America, and your idea of developing rural America is broadband internet and ethanol plants, I don't know where that leaves animal agriculture. And this rule is not going to help small producers like me.
This is Steve Kay of Cattle Buyers Weekly, gentlemen. The Office of Management and Budget presumably agreed with USDA before the promulgation of this rule that a comprehensive economic analysis was not necessary. Will the industry groups now take the Informa study to OMB and ask it to request USDA to conduct such an analysis?
Bill Donald, NCBA. That is exactly right, Steve. We're going to hopefully get this study be the groundwork to show that the impacts are going to be devastating, have the potential to be devastating. So we're going to hopefully get a complete study from the USDA.
Hi, I was wondering what kind of timeline you expect this to take. I know the comment period closes November 22nd, but what might we see transpire from there?
Colin, can you talk to us about the timeline on this?
This is Colin Woodall, Vice President of Government Affairs for the National Cattle and Beef Association. There are several different options. The one we expect is that GIPSA will review the comments that have been submitted, and then they will move forward and try to make their final rule. We could potentially see that as early as mid-December. But given the sheer volume of comments that have already been submitted, over 16,000, I believe, and those that we expect to be submitted between now and November 22nd, if they truly do review all these, That should push any sort of final decision well into 2011. But just process-wise, we still could very easily see something by mid-December.
And at that time, we would see an interim final rule, a final rule. What's the options there?
Both of those are options. We just don't know which one it's going to be. That's really up to Administrator Butler right now. And a lot of that will depend on how much these comments influence the decision-making process there within USDA and GIPSA.
I'm just trying to get a grasp of how significant the study is. If you're talking to people who are already against the rule, it seems like they might be inclined to, trump up the economic impact.
I think that's a legitimate concern, and we took that into consideration. As we talked to folks, we recognized that some of them were very passionate about this, and so I would say that we didn't take every cost estimate that was submitted to us via survey completely at face value. We did some adjustment. We understand the structure of the industry, and so as kind of a committee, we tried to correct for that if we thought it was present. But I will also say that not everybody was in favor of this rule. In fact, we talked to some poultry producers or poultry growers that were decidedly in favor of it, but not against it.
Chris Clayton with DT and the Progressive Farmer. I've seen and heard a lot of people on both sides talk about the quality issue, the quality impact. You got to the point you could quantify, you think 200 sale barns would go out of business, but I don't see any numbers on the quality impact. You're going to tell me choice percentage is going to drop 10, 12% grade, that restaurants and others are just suddenly not going to be able to buy choice meat, that the quality is going to be that devastated?
Rob Murphy with Informa Economics. Quality will be impacted over time. You make a very good point, and we recognize that the end markets for these products are very lucrative, and so that they're not going to be abandoned immediately. But what happens if you don't pay premiums to get the type of quality product that you want, that you need to supply these markets, is that eventually quality erodes. Producers are not going to incur the extra costs of producing that quality product if they're not getting rewarded for it. So over time, you have a kind of reversion to the mean, or the quality deteriorates because they're not producing, they're not being rewarded to produce that product.
So the assumption is that there will be no premium.
No.
Is that the assumption that premiums will go away?
No, we're not assuming that all premiums will go away, but we are assuming that there will be a reduction in the differences in marketing agreements. So in other words, where a packer may currently have 20 different grids that fit different programs, it may move down to 1 or 2. All right, and so that makes it much more difficult to pay for the particular quality attributes that he needs in certain programs.